Why is it that men have all sorts of names for when they jerk off, but women don't? And yet it's like both sides jerk off? Because it's not like a guy's nut is more important than a woman's nut, but it's like there's so many nicknames for when guys jerk off, but with women it's like, I don't know, maybe just one. Like, it's very, very odd.
Get ready for the battle of the sexes.
This is probably one of those things that just puzzles me at very weird times of the day and of the night. Because when you think about it, when guys jerk off, there's like tons of names. There's, slapping your monkey, there's choking your monkey, there's slapping salami, there's Pamela Henderson, there's Five Alive, and, if you're a fan of the WWE, there's stuff like the Five Knuckle Shuffle and all of that. And all of those are just names for when guys jerk off. But when women jerk off, the only thing that you ever really have as a nickname for that I know of at least, is flicking your bean. Besides that, I don't hear them talk about anything in relation to jerking off. Like, it's like that is more sacred, so they actually call it masturbating. But it's one of those weird things that I thought about, and it doesn't make sense. This is one of those things that maybe you can call a bit sexist. And, maybe you can blame the patriarchy, but then again, y'all don't make jokes about yourselves because y'all are sensitive and shit. But anyways, we have a podcast to begin, and I think that most people don't really care that much about the number of names that we have for jerking off. So, in typical fashion, welcome to Break Time on West Side, your number one break time podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man whose worst form of cardio is running his bank account to zero. He's a man who believes that the chicken shouldn't have crossed the road because KFC was on the better side of town. He is none other than I, your tall, dark and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Battle of the Sexes, our weekly love, sex and relationships podcast show where I take a deep bash into women at times and possibly make men look good, according to some people. That's just what they've been saying. Now, as usual, you know the drill. If you feel like there's something that needs to be discussed, and probably, I probably shouldn't bash women or something, then you know what to do. Hit me up on the DMs on Instagram at Breaktime on Westside. On Facebook, you can hit me up on the Breaktime on Westside Facebook page. And on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs at Bagaka the D. If there's a topic you want to be discussed, that is where you send it to, and I will deal with it accordingly. Now, of course, the best things in the world are free and they're mostly shared. So, just like this best thing in the world, if you do like what you listen to, then be sure to share it around. And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend about it. That way, y'all can enjoy the conversations and even discuss right after. And then you can plan the insults that you want to send to my DMs. You see, I've already even given you the best way to find a way to insult me. Just like that. But anyways, we do need to move it on with the show, and before I get into today's main topic, I do have a complaint with the leftist society that just chooses to say that everything that's in order should be switched around, because I don't know who the fuck came with this whole idea that men should wear dresses, but you need to be hanged and possibly sentenced to death by firing squad. Cause what the hell is that? Like, yes, I know, I get it. There's a bunch of leftist people that are like, but you haven't been made to wear a dress. Why is it your problem? Why is that bothering you so much yet you're not even gonna wear the dress? And the truth of the matter is, yes, it's not going to affect me directly, but look at the future generation. I'm not about to watch my son wearing dresses. Like, nah, that's not how it works. And the problem is, a lot of these people that say, it's okay for men to wear dresses aren't men. It's women. And I don't mean to take a dump on a woman's credibility or her word or anything, but a lot of what you guys say isn't reliable. It changes with how you feel. Like, that's just what it is. And this is something that happens from time to time. I don't know, maybe it's a bit of like a motherhood subconscious mentality that's usually there. Where they're like, this is nice, it's okay, you should probably do it, there's nothing wrong, you're this and this, you're that and that, and that's such a good thing. But when you look at the reality of it, it's not like they're consuming from you. It's not like they're taking advantage of that supposed good. in their lives. They're allowing for it to happen, but they're standing away from it while they're calling it good. And it's a very hypocritical thing to say, but your desire to not make someone feel bad and, possibly validate whatever the hell they're doing sometimes does more harm than good. Because when you look at the people that are for the idea of men wearing dresses, the women that are for it, they're usually saying this thing of, a man wearing a dress is still masculine, blah, blah, blah. Just the same way a lion in a sheep's clothing is still a lion, blah, blah, blah. But we're forgetting that there's aesthetic reasons to it. Like, if you try and you take away the masculine aesthetic, then there's a certain degree of masculinity that they lose. So whether some of y'all want to admit it or not, there is a certain amount of masculinity that's lost when a guy wears a dress. Because even when you use the lion in sheepskin analogy to try and explain everything, they're a lot less of a lion than they originally were. Think about it like this. You take a lion and you put it in the body of a hippo or a dog or, a goat or something of that sort. Do you expect it to still go and lead the pack? Even though it has the heart of a lion, it has the brains of a lion, blah, blah, blah. No, it won't. There's a certain amount of its pride, there's a certain amount of its identity that's lost because the aesthetic has changed. And that's just facts. So this whole idea of, you should allow men to wear dresses is absolute BS. Because I have never in my life ever imagined a woman saying that I like a man in a good dress. I've heard them say that about uniform. And that's not even to schoolboys. I have never at any point in my life heard a woman saying that she would love to marry and be with a man who wears a dress. Like, that's never been something that I've heard. Hell, if you heard something of that sort, if you believe in something of that sort, please hit me up at Breaktime on Westside, slide into the DMs and tell me. Please, just tell me if that's actually something that you'd like. The only person that I'd probably think would want that is maybe a bisexual. Because you can kind of have the looks of a female but the dick of a guy. Kind of thinking of it that way. That's probably the only instance where I'd probably think that a guy in a dress would probably be okay. Although, I do have to be honest. The main reason why it is that I'm against this is because I like to look at booty. I will admit that straight to you. The main reason why I am against this is because I love the look of booty. If I'm walking down the street and I see someone with a good booty and I admire it, I do not want to feel like I have violated my own desires and interests when the person suddenly turns and I see a beard and I hear a manly voice. I don't want that. Imagine me walking down the street and I'm busy looking down, feeling down about the day. I see some booty to lift up my spirits, and as I'm busy lifting my head, I notice that this is someone with muscle, and then they turn and I see chest hairs on them. At what point do you think that that's going to uplift my spirit? Hell, that's probably gonna scare me a little bit here and there. Now, I obviously get why this would seem okay with women, because if a guy is wearing a dress, they're probably a lot less likely to try and approach you and possibly sexually harass you, and I get that makes you comfortable. But please remember that people wear clothes nowadays for aesthetic reasons. Of course, there's a baseline where there's like functioning reasons for it, but it's mostly for aesthetics. Like, men used to wear heels back in the day so that they could look taller and possibly more dominant and intimidating. We don't wear that now, and women wear them because it makes their legs look better. Like, at what point is it going to seem functional for a guy to wear a dress? Like, imagine a guy wearing a dress going to a construction site. What the hell is he going to lift? His spirits? You know what I'd want? I'd want me a guy that can wear a dress and, rock it really well with me on a date night out. Said no woman ever. But anyways, women have typically had this behavior of saying stuff that they feel sounds good and then never really rolling with the implementation of it. But I'm gonna attack them on that a little bit later on. So we might as well move into the next topic. But before we do that though...
Hold up. You guys haven't heard of El Mashati? Check out myself and Chacha as we dive into news and games coming out of the footballing world. You can catch our episodes on Mondays at 12 p.m. on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, or virtually anywhere. And like we always say, once a shati, always a shati.
Now, While I was on the internet over the weekend, there was this interesting article that I saw where people were busy talking about how nice guys actually don't finish last. And the criteria that they used was a study whereby they got, I think, about 300-400 women, and they all showed them pictures of, certain good looking guys, certain average looking guys, and they put the good looking guys in positions where they look like assholes on the picture, and they put the not so good looking guys under humanitarian positions, just to kind of show whether there's an attractiveness bit when it comes to being a nice person. And of course, as expected, as per the results that they got, obviously the people who are in humanitarian looking positions looked better. For those of y'all that want a bit of context of what the so-called humanitarian look and position was, it's like, you have some guy trying to feed an animal or playing with a kid, or, as most white people would do, have a picture of them, trying to relate and be all nice and friendly and cuddly with an African kid. And in as much as this search did make it look like nice guys actually do finish first and most women prefer nice guys, I did look at it and actually sense that there was quite a bit of bullshit in this. Now, obviously, if you put anyone in a quote-unquote humanitarian looking position, they're obviously going to look nicer. They're going to look more caring, which makes them seem a bit more attractive to the opposite sex, mostly women though. And when you actually think about it, that's kind of the reason why it's kind of been said for a long time that if you want to appeal to a lot of women as a guy, you can just get a dog and walk with it and move around and like pet it and play with it at the park and all, and you're gonna look incredibly attractive to women because you look like you're a caring human being and that you care for people. Like it genuinely makes you look more attractive from the get-go to women. And this kind of a study, I'd say, is incredibly flawed because it just puts it on the look basis. And yes, I know, it's supposed to make nice guys feel nice about themselves. And the truth of the matter is, the world is the world and the world is unfair, and thus, just like that, nice guys could not manage to finish first. And the primary reason is, y'all will take crap from just about anyone. I don't necessarily mean everyone, but you guys take a lot of crap from a lot of people and you take it with a smile. So obviously people are gonna keep treating you like crap because you take it. Take for example, when you decide to take up a lot of work for different people in the office and you decide to help out and be the sweet person and always help them do their work by actually doing the work for them, then guess what they're going to do? They're just gonna continue loading work onto you because you will clearly take it. Like they will continue giving you this whole thing of, oh, I can't do it and you're such a nice guy and you're really sweet and you're really helpful. And because you feel like you're actually helping them and you think it's a really good thing because you've been taught as a child and as you've grown up, you should always strive to help people. You went to church, you went to the mosque, you went to the temple and you were told, it's good to help people, so you should always help when you can. And guess what? They're gonna keep on treating you like a doormat because you're supposedly a nice guy. And you translate this into the dating world and there's this nice dude, supposedly, who's been treating this girl super well. He's been really sweet with her, trying to help out with assignments and everything, all because he wants to probably date and or bang her. And the thing is, this baby's gonna be, oh, you're so nice, I wish I had a boyfriend like you. Oh, you'd make an amazing boyfriend, an amazing partner, an amazing husband. You sound like you're amazing fatherhood material, blah blah blah. She's gonna continue saying that, and the truth of the matter is, like I said earlier, women say stuff that they feel, not necessarily because they would do the same exact thing, because she will continue to tell you that you would make a great boyfriend and she wonders why she's not dating you. But the truth of the matter is, if she did want to date you, she'd probably be making a move to date you. It's sort of like you going for a casual house party with a bunch of friends and you realize that everyone's dressed casually but you're in a 3-piece suit. Of course, women are gonna tell you that you look dapper, people are gonna tell you that you look good, oh, you're so fly, blah blah blah, I wish I had style like yours. But guess what? It doesn't mean that shorty's gonna twerk on you, it doesn't mean that shorty's gonna wanna take you home and take your number and move it on from there. Hell, it probably won't even happen. But guess what? Maybe I don't know anything about hollering at babes and house parties. So let me just continue the story then. So anyways, you're just being played at that point. But guess what? You're a nice guy, and that's gonna continue happening to you. And even though you say, you know what, you're gonna get done and you're gonna stop, and not unless if there's something that happens between the both of y'all, then you're not going to do anything with her. I only see you as a friend. And I hope that this doesn't break things between us. And because you're such a yes man as a nice guy, and most probably because you still have the feels for this babe, guess what? You're gonna be like, you know what, it's fine, it's cool, we can continue being friends. And then you're gonna try and stray away from that whole situation, but Shorty's gonna be like, by the way, can you help me with something? And then they're gonna smile at you, and then they're gonna blink a little bit, and then, you know, they've already engaged that thirst trap, so you've already fallen for it, and then boom, you're already doing the same exact jack, and you're in the friend zone, and this time you even know you're in the friend zone. But guess what? It's because you're a nice guy. And because I've probably driven the point home, I should probably end it here. But that's not where my research kind of ended. So while I was on YouTube about 2 nights ago, I happened to come across this video where this lady who's apparently a sex educator called Shane Booty happened to be speaking, and she mentioned something very profound. And what she said was, nice guys finish last, but they stay in the race the longest. And it kind of tickled my fancy a little bit. So I thought about it. And I kind of tried to formulate all the ideas. Well, all of this is BS. And the truth of the matter is, it's probably true. Because when you look at it, a lot of guys who aren't supposedly nice guys, the people who are supposedly dicks, supposedly assholes, you'll find that yes, they will get the girl, yes, they'll probably bang, yes, they'll probably get into the relationship, but you'll find that the relationship doesn't last that long. Unless someone really doesn't want to break up with that person, there's a good chance that they're not going to last that long. And it does kind of come back to the whole idea of what makes a nice guy and a supposed dick or an asshole who they are. And it usually comes down to this point called agreeability or disagreeability, whichever one of the two you want to take. And the thing is, nice guys are agreeable. They'll agree to stuff. They won't want to fight with you. They won't want, all that confrontation. They'll agree with you. They'll be like, okay, fine, yes, it's perfectly okay. But disagreeable people, if they don't like Jack, or if they just feel like disagreeing with you, they won't agree to Jack. They won't agree to it at all. So like, take for example, and we can even use a babe for this example, it's a disagreeable babe. She goes, she happens to find a guy that likes her, probably shoots her shot, or maybe he shoots his shot. They happen to really like each other, and then they get into a relationship. Let's even assume that they move in together. And while they're busy staying together, let's assume that one of them decides that they should probably get a dog. And they decide to discuss it as a couple. And let's assume that the babe doesn't want that to happen. She'll be against it the entire time because she's disagreeable. And let's assume that the guy that she's dating doesn't happen to be a nice guy, and he's also disagreeable as well. They go, they break down, they fight over that. And that won't just be the only thing that they'll fight over. After multiple fights and a lack of agreement between the both of them the entire time, you'll find that they'll look at it and they'll be like, we have a lot of differences and they're clearly irreconcilable, so let's break it off. But now you look at the so-called nice guy, the person that just so happened to be the sweet guy, the person that, listened to what she wanted and gave it to her from the get-go, and assume that, she probably left the streets and decided to date this guy. And she says, you know what, I want us to get a dog. And this guy's like, no, I'm not comfortable with the entire idea, blah, blah, blah. They argue about it, but because he wants the argument to end, he's like, all right, fine, let's get a dog. If it makes you happy, you can have your mutt. Just like that. And she happens to get the dog. And then, they'll be good and say that they're arguing over something else. And then she says that she don't want to do the dishes on all 5 days of the week because she gets home and she's tired. And probably this guy is tired, but he's like, you know what? I get, maybe she works way harder than I do. Maybe she's not guilt tripping me into doing the dishes for the entire week. Then all of a sudden he's like, you know what? It's okay. I'll do the dishes. I'll do the dishes for the entire week. And just so that you can get good rest, I'll even include the weekend as well. Because you're the one thing that matters to me and you mean the world to me. That sounds like something a nice guy would say. And just like that, you'll find that they'll probably end up being in the relationship for a hell of a lot longer. So maybe you might have managed to bang and be with the girl of your dreams for a bit of a while as a dude, but because you were disagreeable, you didn't last that long. And guess what? he was also dreaming about the same babe. He probably went afterwards because of course he came last, but guess what? He might even probably end up marrying her. Because that's just the sense of it all. Because clearly, if he's agreeable and he says yes, and he maintains his yes man persona, he will probably stay in that relationship for a hell of a lot longer. So to conclude, maybe you should start asking yourself whether you should really be a nice guy, or whether being a little bit more of yourself, possibly being a dick or an asshole, is probably the way to go. Personally speaking, if you were to ask me, I'd probably tell you, if you're just going in for a bang, be a dick. She likes it and she'll probably receive it from you if, the cards are played very well. But if you're going in for a relationship and you want something long term, then you can probably look into being a dick first before you get into the relationship, and then being a nice guy afterwards. That way, you won't just have had your cake and eaten it, but you'll have made sure you fulfilled her desires of thinking that she can actually change you and make you a better person. Or maybe you can just choose to be a dick and continue banging different women and not dating them for that long, just so that you can say that you've dated multiple women. But anyways, I want to know where you stand with this. Are you team asshole or are you team nice guy? Do you think that nice guys finish last but stay in the race the longest? Or do you think that it's utter BS? The DMs are open. The IG page is at Breaktime on Westside. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on Westside. And on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs at Bagaka the D. Thank you so much for listening. And also, if you're on Castbox, you can also go and drop your comments there. And I will catch you guys on the next break. Take care.